I'm going to turn this gray in the background, like a light gray with a bit of a pattern on it. I think this background is a little too dark. It's grown on me, though. I feel like I need to have something. And I'm also thinking maybe another light. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anywho. Any hoozy. Probably with a little splash of red somewhere in there. Maybe a nice Christmas bow or something. Or blood. Blood of my victims. No. I have a recommendation. If you've never watched this show. If you've never watched the show, if you're like me, you've probably watched the show. Some people have formed opinions on it that I disagree with, and they're wrong. Adventure Time. It's awesome. It's just awesome. Like, from the beginning, it was really funny at the beginning. Like, I think the first 2-3 seasons were hilarious of that show. It was just well written. The humor was just kind of silly and dumb and dry and like, but it was funny and it made me laugh. And that's all that matters, is that you're enjoying yourself. Anywho, so as it goes on though, you start seeing things and these little hints. And so I started looking up, I know this is a little weird, but the story behind the story, and from what I've ascertained, the land of Oo, the world that this all takes place in, is actually a post-apocalyptic Earth. Now, I wouldn't have picked up on that if I hadn't read something else, but like there was something in the show that made me go, oh, it was the episode where there's these fish people that live under the surface of the planet in this watery area, and they've evolved and they have gills and stuff like that. Well, Sue Sanders, I can't remember. I can't remember the character's name, but she has a hat just like, well, not like Finn's, but he's always wondering if she's another human, because he's the only human. Everyone else is the candy people, and you know, well, the Ice King, actually, he was human. But he has a backstory, like a really sweet, interesting backstory. Like, it's so weird that this, like, silly, ridiculous kids' cartoon show, like, has a heart to it. It's got a pulse, man, and I hope it lasts a long, long time, because it's a good show. Like, so Finn, it's about Jake the dog and Finn the human. If you just Google them, just take a look at them, if you've never seen the show. If you've seen the show, then you know what I'm talking about. Anywho, Jake is a magical dog. He can stretch his body in ridiculous amounts and become bigger or become smaller. But he's this magical dog. It's pretty cool. And his brother, who was raised by his magical dog parents, was Finn. He was adopted. They found him in the woods. He was a boom boom baby. They found him wrapped in leaves, and he'd pooped himself. So that's the first time you see, well, not the first time you see Finn, but when you learn about him, he was a human baby. So this is obviously a very rare thing. So they take him in and they raise him as their own. But in this world, it's kind of like almost like a D&D world. Like, they make a lot of role-playing game type references in the show. You're like, oh my god, I don't know how many times I've been online and said that, like nerfing or twinking something or whatever, you know, just geeky terminology where you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it starts reeling in, like, you know, Finn is in love with the bubblegum princess, but at first you just think it's a cute cartoon thing, but it's like, it's well written, like, and he finally, like, learns to love someone else, the fire princess, but he's always just getting himself in trouble. Anywho, but he's grown up in a world that he's never, like, you know, we've never known. Like, he grows up in this world, so that's their story. That's Jake and Finn, the main characters, and some great stories there, and some just ridiculous stories too. Lemon Grab is hilarious. If you watch the first Lemon Grab episode, I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is like one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. So do yourself a favor and like do a search for Lemongrab. I'll find a video. I'll find a good representation of Lemongrab. Problem is, you gotta know the show before you know Lemongrab. So just go watch an episode, and then watch the Lemongrab episode because it's a real game changer as far as the humor goes. Like, I'll explain who Lemongrab is. He is a creation of the Bubblegum Princess. She created life out of a lemon. Apparently, when life throws you lemons, you make life. And so, but he doesn't have a soul, or he doesn't have a heart. Like, he's very, like, direct and straight to the point. I'll put a clip of him up here. Watch that, and then come right back. Now that you've seen how he talks and so on and so forth, I hope you did. If not, I can wait again. You can insert that into this very realistic world. So, yeah, but it's such a great show because it's so easy to look at it like through a child's eyes and just laugh along with them and their crazy adventures and stuff. But if you dig a little deeper, it's one of those shows where you can, as an adult, if your kids like it, you can pull stuff away from it going like, wow, that's a cool lesson they're trying to teach there. And I don't know. It's a good show. So that's my recommendation of the week. Do yourself a favor, go watch like the first 2 or 3 seasons. The single episodes are about 11 minutes each. You have no excuse. You can find 11 minutes. You've been watching this for at least 6 minutes now. Watch like the first, like, if you can, the first 2 or 3 seasons. Like, I think you'll be reeled in by the 6th or 7th episode. It's just so ridiculous at first, but so well written, so well written. Adventure Time. And the music on the show is fantastic. The humor is fantastic. The writing, the acting, everything's so good. One of the best cartoons I've seen in 20 years. Easily 20 years. And I love Family Guy and Simpsons and stuff, but Adventure Time is really climbing its way up into my heart. Whereas I still will always love those other shows, but Adventure Time. Come on, grab your friends. We'll go to very distant lands with Jake the dog and Finn the human. The fun will never end. It's adventure time. Those are the lyrics to the theme song. It's a good song. There's a new version of it that they released on Hey Ice King. No, the Garbage. There was a game for one of the handheld consoles. The DS 3D too. Because I got it for Grayson. It's good. Very good. Well, I don't know if the game's good. He's the one to play. I never played the DS. My eyes can't do that. That's crazy. Well, maybe they could. Anywho. So, yeah. So I've made my point. There's nothing wrong in having an 8-minute video talking about a show you really love. I mean, it ranks up there with, like, the A-Team with me and MacGyver and, like, all these 80s shows. Battlestar. You know, it's a good show. Like, check it out. 11-minute episodes. At least commit to 3. Give yourself 33 minutes and watch it. And then go back and watch them again. And watch them again. Look for the little details, all the little funky little things they leave behind. Alright, let's call it. Time of the hour is 9:30. I don't want to say time of death. That would be horrible if I just dropped dead. I feel like there's just like one more thing I want to say, and I can't remember what it was. Anyhow, well, nonetheless, I'm signing off. Please go make somebody smile. Let's spread this. Tell other people about that. Be like, I know this idiot that's on the internet every night, and right before he signs off every night, he tells me to go make somebody smile. Just start it that way. Because then that's spark a conversation with someone. Someone would be like, that's a good idea. Let's start doing that. Wouldn't that be awesome? Just mention it to somebody. Or share it. Or, yeah, share it. Yeah, I'd love to see some of these shared out. This is a fun one, Adventure Time. If you like Adventure Time, you'd enjoy it, I think. It's no real spoilers. And if you don't like it, then now, or you've never heard of it, now you have. Now, there's got to be a little bit of interest to go see it. Anyway, have a great night. And I will catch you tomorrow night, episode 35. Forgot to mention last night, 33, Larry Bird. I remember going to seeing the Celtics back in 83, 84 with my uncle. Uncle Steve Crowninshield. Good guy. Alright, one more quick story. I remember, he was a big guy, real big guy. Probably weighed 325 or something like that. You know, massive gentleman. Receding hairline, thinning hair. Real foul-tempered, but didn't mind if I hung out while he was doing stuff. So a lot of time I'd just go out down there and hang out, and he'd be talking with his friend Mrs. Plummer. I know I've mentioned this relationship before. They should have been married. Like, clearly they were meant for each other. They sat there and complained to each other day in and day out while my uncle would be smoking his butts, she'd be smoking her butts at the table, and he'd be cooking or making coffee. That's it. I never saw that man sit down for more than like 5 minutes. It was constant. No, when he would be done with something, it'd be nice to see him sit down. And I'd light fires in his ashtray, and he'd just let me. It was fun. Anywho, he's a big guy. I often, not often, that's going to sound wrong. I used to wonder, are his poops proportional to his size? Like, does he have giant poops? Because he is a big guy. And well, not necessarily a big guy, but I was a small little kid. And looking up to even if he was 5'10", 5'9", 5'8", I'm looking up to this guy like he's a giant. I mean, he could sit on me and kill me. He used to have those, oh my god, he had these leather sofas. They weren't real leather, though. In his, like, second living room that nobody used. I couldn't explain that. I think maybe it was very 70s looking in there. But I remember it was fun to jump off of the arms. That thing was solid and just wrestle on it and stuff. His poops. I don't like to talk about people's poops and poops in general. I love the word poop, but I don't like to talk about poop. But this story's funny enough that I think it's worth it. I remember he went into the bathroom one day, and the only lock he had on the inside of the door was one of those loop and latch, iron, whatever. The hook does this. And I don't mean that sexy. And so, but the door was still open about half an inch, so you could stick like a knife in, pop it. Well, I waited one day, he went in there, and I confirmed that he was pooping. I can't remember how. I just found out by listening, or whatever it was. I know this sounds disgusting. It's a terrible story, but it's funny. I remember popping the lock, but giving him just enough time that I knew that he was just about done. And then, as he flushed, I flew in the door, and he was just like, "Get out of here!" He was so mad. I don't blame him. I'd be furious too. Well, with my kids, I don't want to talk about that. Anywho, I was just like, yeah, well, hang on a second. Hang on. Just trying to look behind him, and I'm not trying to look at his butt. I'm trying to see how big his poop is. Yeah, it's pretty big, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But I only caught a glimpse of it. Is that crazy? Has anyone else ever desired to see if someone's poo is proportional to the size of their body? I hope so, or they're going to come lock me up. Alright, now I'm signing off. Go make somebody smile. I'll catch you tomorrow night. Episode 35, Larry Bird. I don't know how we got from Larry Bird to my uncle's poop. I'll see you tomorrow night.